Not looking like the greatest day, but at least we're looking at great temperatures and sunshine into race weekend, which a lot of people are anticipating and have been looking forward to for quite some time, including a lot of the fundraising teams. And we're getting some more information today on Team Pipr. We're talking about Parkinson's. Joining us at the far end, Dr. Michael Schlossmacher, the chair of the Parkinson's Research at the Ottawa Hospital. Great to have you here. Also joining us is Ross Tundon-Ham and Kim Tarrant, who have experienced this firsthand, what happens with Parkinson's. It was about 3 years ago, I believe, right, when Ross was diagnosed with Parkinson's?
Yes, Ross was diagnosed 3 years ago, and if it wasn't for our involvement with the Ottawa Hospital and Pipr, we would not be here today, because even though Ross looks fantastic today, 18 months ago, that was certainly not the case.
He just broke out into a big smile because, you know, it came on pretty quickly, and it was drastic that he lost facial expression, lost a lot of movement.
It was such a rapid progression, I can't even describe it to you. And anyone who knows Ross knows that his smile is such an important part of who he is. He's the most positive person in the world. And one of the symptoms of Parkinson's can be frozen face, and Ross developed frozen face, so he could no longer smile. You couldn't see any expression, so you didn't know if he was happy or sad. But on top of that, he lost the use of his left arm, his left hand. His mobility was limited, and so that in real terms means that he couldn't tie his shoes, he couldn't cut his food, he couldn't toss the tennis ball. All of these things that you take for granted and things that are very specific to Ross, where life changed at that point. It was completely altered, and we didn't know what to do. And at that point, we were introduced to Pipr through the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, and thank goodness we met this incredible group of people. And what we are is a very small group, and the one thing we have in common is we all love someone that has Parkinson's.
And things changed because you immediately then got onto the medication. So how have things changed once you kind of became involved with the group and then could kind of see, and I see the smile that came onto the face, that you were able to have this mobility again?
Well, as Kim said, I lost that control of many emotions, like cutting knives, showers, couldn't dry my back when I was at the gym, etc. So it affected me greatly, but it affected my tennis. I couldn't open my hand and release the ball.
And Russ is an avid tennis player.
Well, you could tell, I mean, when we're talking tennis right now, you know that you're dealing with someone who's passionate about being able to move. This is something that you probably dealt with a lot with the patients that come in, that they wanted to hold off on the medication, but for you there was a lot of different ways to go about it.
Well, I think the challenge is always to try to understand what the patient's needs are. So what is it specific that doesn't work as well during the course of the day? We call those activities of daily living. And for him, he's very passionate about sports and exercise and playing tennis. And so he actually noticed that he couldn't throw the ball as well, and he couldn't get it as high, and couldn't just play as well. So the challenge, or the task then, is to optimize the medication regimen to allow him to do all the things that he wants to do and has to do.
And there's a lot of research, there's a lot of you know, world-leading research that's happening right here in Ottawa with your group.
It's a privilege here, because thanks to the Ottawa Hospital Foundation and groups like Pipr's, they support our research, because Parkinson's is to this day an incurable illness, so we can suppress some of the symptoms, but we can't make it stop, like a pneumonia, for instance. And so research will be important to try to ultimately find out the different ways that lead to different forms of Parkinson's and stop it. So Pipr has galvanized our research efforts here in the city. There's over a dozen of different people that focus on Parkinson's research. And we want to change how the disease is treated in the near future, and not just maintain status quo. And that's what this team has really allowed us to do.
And Team Pipr will be doing that this weekend. You got a big group out there ready to go.
We have a huge group of people in red shirts. And just to finish off the last story, when we were introduced to Michael Schlossmacher, he pulled Ross aside and he said, "I promise you, start the medication and you will see instant results. I promise you, I guarantee you." So we did that, and within 1 hour of taking a pill on one day, we sat there and literally Ross's smile came back. He went and without thinking picked up a cup, and then within that month, all of the symptoms, literally all of the symptoms vanished, and life came back to normal. Now it's a moving target because it is a progressive disease, but working with these doctors through Pipr, through the Ottawa Hospital, it's amazing that this elite group of scientists and neurologists, they've devoted their entire life to Parkinson's research, and they're willing to come to the board table and share with us their learnings, their findings. So
it is remarkable.
We are passionate about people getting involved with the Ottawa Hospital for their own particular cause. Ours happens to be Parkinson's, but through Pipr. But there's many other good causes
There's
too.
a ton of information on their website. You can check it out to be able to find them. They'll be in the red shirts, a lot of them doing the 5K walk over the course of race weekend. We do have to take a break. Already 7 o'clock. We have your top news headlines coming away right after this.